Hello, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out for this celebration of the reopening of Verdean Gardens. We were just chatting, and some 29 years ago, we were in the same spot for the original open house when we first did this project, which included 6 sites. Some of them, like the school, had an existing building. A lot of them were either buildings that had to be torn down or vacant lots, and it was significant because as we came in and took pieces of the community that needed improvement and mended them together and came out with a project that really improved visually the project for the neighborhood, beside creating some housing. And this 29 years ago, my father was here with us celebrating. He's not here celebrating with us now, but he is in spirit, and I know he's happy. And I tell this to everybody: when you work for your father, you never stop trying to please them. So even though he may not be around, if I don't do the right thing or good job, I'm afraid he'll come back and haunt me. So I always try to please my father. The other thing is that for people that know a little about the history of this project, it was a SHOP project. It was a program that the state came up with back in the early 80s. It was a well-intended program, but it didn't really work financially. It had some structural flaws or assumptions in there, and Mass Housing had to refinance most of them. There were a group of them that they didn't refinance, and Verdean Gardens was one of those. And we ended up getting foreclosed on instead of what they called the structural workout they were doing at the time. So it was really disappointing for my father, the reason why I brought him up, because he was originally from New Bedford, and this was his favorite project. He was sort of like the hometown boy coming back and doing something positive for the neighborhood. Also back then when we did it, there was, I don't have the figures, but there was over 50% of the work on this was done by local Cape Verdean community folks. So he was very proud that he was able to come back, create some housing, create some economic development opportunities for people that lived here. So we lost the building, as I said, due to foreclosure, but we were able to come back and buy it at an auction and do it. So to me, I know there's an extra reason why my father's smiling, because he knows that it's back in Crew's hands, it's back in Cape Verdean hands, and after all, it is called Verdean Gardens. So we're very proud of the fact that we're still involved with the project. I would just like to acknowledge my son, Justin, and Dan, who's actually going to introduce the speakers. And the last thing I'll say is you're only as good as the people that work for you and with you. And this culmination of this project being finished is not because of John Cruz, it's because of a lot of people, and I appreciate everybody from the office staff that helped put this on, to the project managers who do the daily grind and take all the heat. I take credit for the good stuff. I blame the bad stuff on them. So, only kidding, only kidding. But again, it takes more than one person or two people. It's a team effort from all of us. So with this, I just want to introduce Justin. Would you stand up, please? Thank you. And I'm proud to say we're a third-generation black-owned firm. There needs to be more of those, and I'm very proud. And I know, again, that was one of the things that was extremely important to my father, is carrying on the legacy that he started. And with that, I'm going to introduce Dan Cruz, who will do the introduction of the speakers. Thank you.
Good morning. I just want a point of clarification. John had mentioned 29 years ago. What he didn't mention was I was only 18 at the time. So I just wanted to make that point. This is a celebration, right? Yes. These developments are journeys. We started in 2011 to try and regain Verdean Gardens. And from that day, we were always focused on this day, because that's where we want to get to, right? We want to be able to say we've done it, it's completed, and hopefully it came out the way we wanted. So this is a celebration. So that's going to be the tone of this. We've got some great local Cape Verdean food, so we're going to move the program pretty quickly. There's information in your booklet about Verdean Gardens, so we're not going to go into a lot of that. We're going to get to the speaking program. We're very fortunate in Massachusetts to have a congressional delegation that supports housing and supports housing strongly. And that's not lost on us in the development community, because these types of developments, and this is mixed income, so it's both market and affordable, which we think is a perfect model, needs resources. And so some states, their constituents aren't as supportive. And so we're very fortunate in Massachusetts to have a great congressional delegation. And so we're going to ask Congressman Keating to come up and say a few words, and we're going to present you with a pair of ceremonial scissors that you can use at the ribbon cutting. Congressman?
Thank you. Well, thank you and good morning. You can tell I probably don't need a pair of scissors as much as most people, at least with my hairline. But I do want to start off actually on a very somber note this morning for our country. We just received news just a short time ago that 16 of our soldiers, 16 of our service personnel were killed this morning in an air crash. 15 Marines, and I believe one, the reports are from the Navy. If we could just take a second and reflect in our prayers for them and their family members who served us so well. Thank you very much. And there are legacy issues this morning on a much happier note. The legacy issues with Cruz family and with Cruz development and the way that they not only carry on a family tradition but a legacy of working with the community. And it really bears great talk and great recognition to the fact that 75% of their work here is New Bedford businesses, and 75% of the workers are New Bedford workers. And that's so important, and that's as important a legacy, I believe, of community involvement as the buildings itself. So I want to congratulate you for that. I want to join also with my colleagues in government. I'm joined by Representative Chris Markey, who I know very well, and we work very well together. I'm joined by Representative Tony Cabral, who we served together in the legislature and continue to work together. And between them is Patrick Sullivan, who has done such a great job of working on housing issues, things that are really under siege right now in Washington, things we have to work hard to make sure we provide for people. I also want to, on behalf of the city that's here, congratulate Councilor Ribeiro, who is here. Hello. Councilor. And also from the state Mass DHCD, the Assistant Undersecretary Terry. Thank you very much for being here, as well as Tony Fricasso from Mass Development. Now, it took a lot of people to put this together and a lot of partnerships. And that's really what we celebrate when we celebrate community here. So many people came together to create community, and that's what this is. It's a bringing together. It's the resources from many, the work of many that came together to help other people, to help other neighbors, and to create neighborhood networking. And that is the crux of, and that's the strength of not only New Bedford community, it's the strength of our country today as well. As we move away from those and forget those, we become less of a country. But it's so great this morning to be here in New Bedford and to realize that that kind of community is alive and well and flourishing and building and moving forward. We owe a lot to the people before us. We owe a lot to community members. And I'd just like to take this opportunity, if I could, just to recognize someone that gave a great deal to their country, as people have here today. But one young guy of 97 years old who looks like he could go out and continue service right now. He's in such great physical condition. Someone that I was asking him before if he knew my uncle, because they had the same time frame, the same experience from getting trained in Camp Edwards and then going into the European theater and working. You know, he was, along with many other veterans there, he was someone, unfortunately, that lost his life in that. But everyone there was there defending what we're celebrating today. So in the spirit of legacies, I'd just like to ask him to come forward and just thank him for his service. And it's really an extraordinary generation.
Thank you all.
Here you go.
Thank you all.
Mr. Fernandez, here you go. This is to a special congressional recognition proudly presented to Manuel Figueredo in recognition of your service in the United States Army during World War II, defending our freedoms, preserving our democracy throughout the entire world. And it gives me special pride because I do believe my own uncle was serving with you at the same time.
Thank you.
So, thank you. Here, step right here. Sir. Let's tell a photo. Tootsie Russell has also a pin for the National World War II Memorial for you as well. And thank you. This is an incredible gentleman. I mean, imagine the years, imagine the service, and still here being such a big part of this New Bedford community and our country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're going to say something. You want to say something?
Say a few words.
All right.
Thank you all, and have a good night. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. One of the other things is, if those who don't know, Mr. Figueredo lives in the Donaghy School, 68 South Street, and his apartment is one of his former classrooms. So that's a beautiful thing. When he told us that, we're like, wow, it's perfect.
You sure it wasn't the principal's office?
That was good. That was good. Thank you, Congressman Keating. Again, as we had mentioned, these developments take a lot of support, and we've been fortunate with Verdean Gardens to receive that, and that's why we were able to undertake the development. And your state representatives are very important in that process, because you apply to the state for resources, and they want to fund everything. But if they know that your representatives are going to make calls and hound them, chances are you're going to get some funding. And so every time we called Representative Cabral's office, we always got an immediate call back, and they were willing to make calls on our behalf. So again, Representative Cabral, we want to thank you, your staff, and ask you to come up and say a few words.
Well, good morning, and this is really a celebration. The Verdean Gardens has always been a cornerstone, sort of an anchor in this neighborhood, and thanks to the leadership of the Cruz family, it's back again in their hands, in their development, in their leadership, and we are delighted for that because they are a great company to work with. They know the community, they invest in the community, they use community folks to work in their projects, they involve the community overall. So that's all good stuff. It's all good stuff, really is. Taking money, both private and public money, and reinvesting in the community and using the folks that actually should get the jobs, the folks from New Bedford and the companies from New Bedford, in particular minority-based companies, as the Cruz company is. You know, the Cruz company is a success story, and we are very proud in New Bedford. Every time we hear the name, we know they are based out of Boston, but every time we hear the name, the Cruz company being Boston or otherwise, we are very proud, especially those of us from the city of New Bedford. As Mr. Cruz, I used to call Mr. Cruz the Elder Cruz, Mr. Cruz, who I used to know before he passed. He used to not only came back to invest in his community where he was born and raised, but he used to come back frequently to a lot of the events here. I'm sure some of you remember Mr. Cruz dancing at the Verdean Vets, at the Bishka Club, and at the band club as well. I remember a number of times being with him, and he was a great dancer. Not only a great business person, but he was a great dancer. I'm sure all of you remember that, and I remember that fondly because I attended so many events where he made a point of coming and being part of and giving back that way to the community as well. So I've found memories of Mr. Cruz and the Cruz family and the Cruz development companies, and they're just tremendous folks to work with. As you can see, the diversity on this crowd today really shows their commitment, their involvement, and how much they care to make sure that everybody reaps a little bit of the profits, a little bit of the good things by providing and sharing the work with local folks and local companies. So you are fantastic. We really appreciate that here. And here in the South End, obviously the Verdean Gardens is famous, right? Famous in a positive way. I mean, this community really needs projects of this nature, this area of the city, this neighborhood, something that is positive, that makes all of us feel comfortable, safe, and it's pretty safe around the Verdean Gardens, let me tell you. You can walk around here most nights and you are okay, you know, even though sometimes the reputation is different, but don't believe everything that you read or you hear, because I moved through this community a lot, and I walk, I drive, I attend the events that I love going to the Bishka Club. It's one of my favorite spots, and Central Kitchen, of course. 97, Mr. Figueredo, it's got to be that great Cape Verdean food, right? That helps, right? Yeah, cachupa, a little bit of cachupa. And by the way, if you like that, Central Kitchen makes one of the best in town. They also make the best tuna steak you can have in New Bedford. If you like tuna, and that's one of the famous plates, one of the famous dishes in Cape Verde. Every time I've gone there, I try to make sure I have barrigas of tuna, which is the area of the tuna that is very tasty. So and they do the best. They are great. So so I'm delighted. I'm happy to be a small part of this initiative, this rededication of the Verdean Gardens. I want to thank the state agencies, DHCD and Mass Development, two great state agencies. Mass Development is really they know what they're doing. They really are great when it comes to projects of this nature, and we've been fortunate in New Bedford that Mass Development and DHCD have been very much a partner with us in many neighborhoods in the city to make sure not only for housing, but in the case of mass development, for other economic development projects such as Market Basket in the north end and other projects downtown. So we always nice to have them with us as part of the opening ceremony of any dedication or rededication. So once again, I'm sure Mr. Cruz is looking down. He's extremely happy. He always used to have a wonderful smile, especially when he was on the dance floor. And he loved being in New Bedford. He really did love coming here and spending time down here. So thank you again, and congratulations.
Thank you, Representative Cabral. As I said, the state delegation here, it works tirelessly. And Representative Markey has a reputation of being a tireless advocate for his constituents. And we appreciate him, we appreciate the work that he does. And part of the reason why we get funding is because of initiatives and the commitment that he has. So again, we would love for have him come up and say a few words, give you a ceremonial scissors as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you for having me. Tony is really the one who works tirelessly for the people of this particular area. But this area is where I went to church across the street over here, or 2 streets over, parked the car right over here. And it's a place that I've come to love because of the opportunities that New Bedford has given me and my family. I look at Justin and I think of he has been blessed in his life to be able to have the opportunities that he has. And his family has now given people another opportunity in their lives. I was given the same opportunities. I have been blessed my entire life with loving parents who did very well, are still around. I wish my father is 15 years younger than you, and you look a hell of a lot better than him. But I have been giving those opportunities, and that legacy is important to me, that I wanted to make sure that I can at least try to live up to what my father did. And I'm sure Justin feels the same way. I'm sure John has felt the same way. So even when they're living, and even when they're gone, it is something that's really important to push for, that is to make sure you can make your life better, but more importantly, make others' lives better. And I try, and that's what I'll continue to do. But the other part about it is the Cape Verdean community is unique. It is probably the most connected community in New Bedford. And the pride that everybody in the Cape Verdean community has with their ancestors, with their family. And it seems like everybody's related, which is another thing I'm still trying to figure out sometimes. He's my cousin. Yeah, all right, hold on. There's like 1,900 cousins. But it's fantastic. And the one thing that I've come to notice, and again, having my children at the boys club and watching them grow and flourish through sports, is that there's this generation that takes such pride in making sure the next generation in the Cape Verdean community has those opportunities. I hope that continues. I hope this is just one example of that. And I hope that the Cruz family continues to invest in New Bedford as they have before, because it's really important, particularly when it's one of your own, to have such pride. I hope you are all proud of the efforts of the Cruz family. I hope you're proud of the government working with private industry, but most importantly, I hope it's an opportunity for you to realize that government can do great things, and this is one of those great things. So God bless you all.
Thank you, Representative Markey. Our local city councilor, Dana Ribeiro. Anytime we have to reach out to her, Dana responds instantly. And she's an advocate for us, she's an advocate for the community, and we so appreciate having her as our representative in District 4. So we'd like to ask Dana to come up, say a few words, and also present her with a pair of ceremonial scissors to be used at the ribbon cutting. Dana?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. So this is more than a ribbon cutting. I feel like it's a family reunion. I see my Uncle Archie of Archie's General Contracting in the audience. And I'm so just honored that father and son are here. This is more than a building. This is an example. It wasn't lost on me when you said that you're a black-owned company. My path has been made much easier because of what you've put in the work, and your wife. I see her at events, Mrs. Cruz, always supporting women of color in politics. And I know, your son, we have an easier path because of your dad and my uncle. And I know it's not lost on us that we need to pass that torch. And the American dream has been elusive to our community. But it's your work, your example, your pride, and your struggle that makes it easier for us to be included. And people that walk by here, kids that feel like there is no way, they'll see that, and hopefully they'll see that there is a way. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, because I know it has not been easy. That's not lost on me. And I thank you all for being here. And let's always remember that when the tide rises, the boats rise with it. So let's support one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. When we first came back here in 2011, one of the first things we did was go to the planning office and met with Patrick Sullivan. And he didn't know us. He knew the history of Verdean, but he didn't know us. And from the first meeting we had, he did everything within his power to make sure that we would be successful and get to today. And he has great staff. And you always get in trouble when you start naming people. But I'm going to do it because Lori Mooring and Stephen Ingalls have been nothing but supportive and really great in this process. So Lori, thank you. I don't know if Stephen's here. But Patrick, you have great staff. They do great work. And again, we want to recognize you for your contribution because you were the first one in. It takes someone to start. And the first monies that we were able to get came from the city of New Bedford. So Patrick, we want to thank you for your commitment and your belief that we would get here. So we invite you to come up and say a few words. Thank you. Patrick Sullivan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I was so glad that Dan had pointed out the great efforts that Laurie and Steve from our office, because John mentioned that in his opening remarks that you're only as good as the people you work with, and I'm really blessed to work with a great bunch of folks in our staff. And Mayor Mitchell couldn't be here today, but he wants to certainly extend his wishes for an extremely successful project. We've watched this project from afar over the last few years, and we're so glad that the original developers were able to come in and bring it back to life. And in a small way, the federal home funds that are at risk right now, with our current federal budget, and I want to thank the Congressman Keating for his tremendous support. A little $250,000 in the scheme of this project doesn't seem a lot, but it was that first money in, and it gets others to follow. So I just wanted to put a plug in for the importance of those federal dollars. But this project is so unique because there's 6 different sites with 8 different buildings, and all the buildings are unique, and they house such diverse folks from the neighborhood. And this has been a mainstay. It's been an anchor over the years, and it's proven to provide safe, decent and affordable housing for families, children, elders. And this project was unique in that it mixed low and moderate income units as well as market rate units. So it's a tremendous success story. I can't say enough about the Cruz family and their legacy and continued investment in New Bedford. It's been a pleasure working with them, and can't extend my thanks enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Everyone knows in the real estate business, those of us who are doing mixed income or affordable housing, that DHCD is the lead organization. They provide the most resources, and once they approve you, you're basically in the ground. So That's never lost on us. So we bribe them every time we get. We do every chance we get. But no, seriously, there's great staff there. And again, you get in trouble when you start to name people, but from Crystal Cornegie to Kate Racer to Patrick Glennon to Sharon Riley to everyone that works there, Susan, you guys have great staff. And they're so supportive. And without their commitment, we wouldn't be here today. So we want to acknowledge DHCD and ask you to come up and say a few words on behalf of DHCD.
I'm so happy to be able to be here today on behalf of Undersecretary Cornegie and the Baker-Polito administration. Crystal, Undersecretary Cornegie, is so sad to have been able to, not to have been able to come to this event. Because not only are you preserving here 56 units of affordable housing, but listening to all the other speakers talk, I realize you're preserving a community. You're preserving a tight-knit group of people, and you're making their lives better by giving them not just a house over their, a roof over their head, but a really quality, high-quality, affordable place to live with awesome trucks. At DHCD, we work towards the goal of providing high-quality, affordable housing for every resident in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We can't do that alone. We can't do that without the support of the governor, without the support of our friends in Congress. Congressman Keating has been a wonderful supporter. This project has been made possible because DHCD was able to commit low-income housing tax credits. Without the support of our Washington delegation, we wouldn't have those credits. And those are credits we desperately need to make sure that projects like this continue to get our support. Our friends in the State House, representatives have really made it important and made it sure that we have always gotten at DHCD the funding. Again, the funding that we can put to make sure that we preserve projects like this. So thank you and congratulations. It's an amazing project and you've done it and it's wonderful. So congratulations.
Thank you, Undersecretary Terry. Mass development. For those of you who don't know, these deals get bonds, and they get tax-exempt bonds. And we won't go into a long dissertation about what that is. There's lawyers here would know, like Dennis and Darley. But the bond issuers, you have to have a bond issuer. And Massachusetts is only really two. There's mass development and mass housing. And we've been fortunate enough in the last 4 or 5 years to work with them on 5 different projects. And every single time, Tony Ficasso has drawn the short straw and gotten us. And so we appreciate you putting up with us, Tony. We enjoy working with you. He's so knowledgeable. He represents the mindset of mass development where they're really committed to seeing projects like this move forward. And he's a joy to work with. And so we want to ask you to come up, Tony, a pair of ceremonial scissors where Lisa will give you one, and to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. It is certainly my pleasure to be here this morning and to extend a heartfelt congratulations to Dan and to John and everyone at Cruise Development as we complete our multi-year journey to reposition and improve Verdean Gardens, 110 units of multifamily housing with 56 affordable units. Physically maintaining affordable and mixed income housing is one of the most important challenges facing those of us in the public sector today, and often requires a true public-private partnership to accomplish. Verdean Gardens came with the added challenge of needing some financial re-engineering before the renovations could even start, adding to the complexity of the project. At Mass Development, we continue our commitment to providing tax-exempt bond resources, as we did here at Verdean Gardens, to help preserve and improve what seems like an almost endless stream of affordable multifamily and senior projects in the Commonwealth. As we celebrate here today, work continues in Boston, where we're assisting the Cruz family with preserving the Wayne portfolio of affordable housing, another multi-year, multi-phase financing that will preserve in excess of 300 units of affordable multifamily housing. Yes, absolutely. Let's applaud that. Let's applaud that. And I do not feel like I have drawn the short stick to be able to work on that. I am very thrilled to be working with the entire Cruz family on that. So to Dan, John, and everyone at Cruz, we thank you for your dedication and perseverance, and congratulations.
Thank you, Tony.
We also have a couple of other awards to give out to certain individuals who have not necessarily contributed, although some of them have contributed to this particular project, but have contributed to the community. And one person is Buddy Andre. And for those of you that don't know Buddy, he's a tireless warrior. He has been, for years, unpopular with certain groups because of the stance he takes. He's a voice for people that wouldn't have a voice here. At least he tries to be, and that's what he works for, is to give everybody an equal chance at work, everybody an equal chance at living well in school. Buddy is a homegrown project. We were talking about service. I know he's a Vietnam vet. And the thing that touches me about Buddy is he has spent so much time working for other people, he's neglected himself. And maybe he doesn't see it, but I see it, because he's always helping some other group, some other people, somebody less fortunate. And he could have been working for somebody right now and had a pension. So, Buddy, for your tireless dedication, your commitment to the community, we'd like to.
Wasn't expecting this, but wow. Thank you, John, Danny, who's come to these. People in New Bedford, our community, I love this community. And I see Mr. Camo DeCamo sitting here and many of the other good folks in the community. I just, for a change, I'm short of words. I just don't know. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well deserved.
And I neglected to say, Buddy was instrumental in getting local contractors to come to us for work, and made many, many calls to solicit people that we wouldn't have known about. So, thank you, Buddy.
Yes, and that was a very good part of the project, is helping out to get local workers, local contractors, and we did a good job. Don't mind me, wow. I will say one more thing. I'm a Vietnam vet, and we had a Vietnam Veterans reunion back in October, and I needed to get there, and I wanted to thank Cruz Construction Company for getting me there. And I had one of the best times in my life. After 40-some odd years of seeing guys from Vietnam that I hadn't seen in 40-something years, it was just fantastic, and I thank Cruz Construction for getting me there.
And one more, and we can get to the food. To Manuel Figueroa, who is 97, who, when I grow up, I want to be like you.
There you go.
You don't make me feel old at all. You're an example of human spirit, and you are what you think and what you feel in your heart. and you feel young in both your mind and your heart, and it's beautiful to see. You make other people feel young by what you do, and you give us the 97 is still living life to the fullest. So, like I said, I don't feel old, and I know I have a long time when I look at someone like you. So thank you for the inspiration. And again, he went to the school. I don't know if it's the same apartment.
Which one of his classes?
One of them.
Yeah,
But
fourth grade.
so
Fourth grade, yeah.
what a continuation of the not only the place to live, but a place to bring back memories on your journey of life. So I just want to say thank you for being an inspiration for everybody that knows you, and I'd like to present you with this plaque.
One more, John. Great. Okay. Great. Thank you. And we're almost done. But as we said from the beginning, John started off by saying we're a team. And this could never have happened without a great team in place. So we're going to ask everyone who worked on this project or who works on this project to raise your hand. This is one heck of a team. We take you guys anywhere. We do want to acknowledge a couple of the financial participants, because without their money, we wouldn't be here. So Rick Morita from Rockland Trust. Thank you. Rockland was the bond purchasers and provided both the construction and permanent loan. Tom Maxwell, RBC. They were the ones who bought the tax credits and provided the equity. We still haven't, the ink's not quite dry, Tom, yet, so we're going to change a couple of the terms now that we're finished. I was going to wait till later to tell you that, but. And then we had lawyers. We had Oscar Carlos, who's the project manager, John Texera, and then we had Dennis Torres and Dolly David, who served as counsel on the project. And so we just had a great team. Rick Jones doing project management. But there's two people that I want to thank in particular. The project manager we had here. I don't know where Gina is, but our office has recorded some 2,000 phone calls from Gina probably in the last 6 months. I need this. Where's this? Who's this? And you were doing the day-to-day, and we just thank you so much. You did a tremendous job. And then Betsy Hayes. Oh my goodness. Betsy's running things, okay? If you don't know that, then you haven't been around Verdean Gardens. You saw her as soon as the garbage truck pulled up, she ran right out there. I said, that poor guy's in trouble. Oh my God, you better get out of here. So Betsy again, and we in development can sometimes be a tad bit unreasonable, and you know, I'll never admit that again. But we'll get a call from somebody, a lender, and say, hey, I need this document tomorrow. And we don't have the information's here. So we'll call down to New Bedford and say, hey, Betsy, we need this. She said, when? Like tomorrow. And we always get it. She'll stay in the office and work. So it's great. She's got a great staff. I see Mike. Thank you, Mike. You do a great job. Where's? Yeah, where's Andre? Oh, okay. But again, we want to get to the food. Diane Pina, where is she? Oh, hey, Diane. Prepared some great eats. We got all Cape Verdean food, manchupa, jagged linguiça. We've got some cans. I think we've got gouffong. So it's going to be a real traditional Cape Verdean meal. So we want everybody to partake. And the last thing is you can tour the buildings. Again, it's 6 sites. It's the school, It's 99 Acushnet, which is the building right there. It's 347 South 2nd across the street. So if anybody's interested in just taking a closer look, please, we invite you. But John, I think that's it. And thank you very much, everyone.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it.
The only triple doubles you get come with fries.
Last time you blocked someone, you were online.
I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool.
Not cool.
Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative, it's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.